pedestrians, vehicle traffic as well. Pedestrian, the bus and policeman circled here, delivering students and visitors to the campus that way. So it's highly active, and the idea with the building is that it's a place where visitors can come to, quote, in President Munson's words, get RIT in 15 minutes. So it's meant to be a, consolidate all the particular unique qualities of RIT into one building. Certainly it'll be a main stop for admissions tours, and it's meant to be a main stop for students on campus. So this is the view looking north, an aerial view, obviously, looking north towards the site as it exists today. These architectural images, if you can see the roof plan here, are what was submitted as part of the application. So this is oriented with north. Wait till that reloads. Can everyone see that?
It hasn't.
Yeah, gotta. Okay.
There it goes.
There we go. Okay. So this is oriented with north to the right. So the view is rotated 90 degrees clockwise from the last image. So Wallace Library at the top here, Monroe Hall labeled there to the bottom, George Eastman Building number 1 here. And as you can see, the building is not, conventional in the sense of other buildings in RIT right now. It's responding to those pedestrian needs, the need to connect the north and south sides of the campus, as well as responding to pedestrian needs of the northern and southern quarter mile. And so there's 2 wings to the building. We're calling them the west wing and the east wing, connected by bridges. And those bridges complete a pedestrian connection that is currently serviced by tunnels, as well as the interconnecting SAU and other buildings to the east. It terminates right here currently, and pedestrian interior connections to the west, they currently terminate at Wallace, and this building kind of completes that connection across campus. So we've been saying that students will never have to walk outside in the wintertime when this building is complete. But in order to not block views and pedestrian traffic to the south, there's a courtyard and bridges here which allow pedestrians and service vehicles, as well as fire apparatus access to this courtyard through the building, so it does not block that corridor. It's also a utility corridor. So as you can see from the roof plan here, I'll start with the west wing. There are a number of different level roofs on the building. All the heights have been labeled here. This is the 112-foot parapet height that was referenced at the beginning of the meeting at the top of the mechanical penthouse. The main building here, and we can look at the floor plans for reference if you like after this, but the idea is that all the program is oriented around a central hub. So there's a large atrium space that connects the A level all the way up in varying footprints to the 4th floor. And all the program is basically visible from the ground floor for visitors and students. The different roof heights that you're seeing here, this is what we're calling a flexible studio, essentially a black box theater. The main bulk of the building at this level is actually lower than that and is lower than Wallace. That is where the maker spaces and the main atrium are. This portion right here that I'm outlining, all the way to the north side here, these are classroom massing that tops out at 92 foot. And then the mechanical penthouse, the parapet at 112 foot right now. I'll show you in this section, the west wing is the higher side of the building. So this is the east wing looking to the east, the west wing looking to the west. And you can see the varying roof heights that we're talking about here. The highest occupiable level is level 4 at 70 foot. And I should note that 70 foot is measured from the A level, which is the ground floor, to the south here. It is not measured from the quarter mile, as is all the elevations. So one thing to clarify, the 112 foot is not measured from the quarter mile in comparison to Eastman. Otherwise, we would be exceeding that height. But overall, the building is not doing so. We also want to, if I can go back to the plan or roof plan here, although the mechanical penthouse is at 112 feet, that is not the full footprint of the building extruded up from the ground. That is a much smaller footprint. Only one small portion here, if you can see where the mouse is, extends a full height from the quarter-mile level, that is from level 1, all the way up to the top of the mechanical penthouse. Otherwise, the penthouse is set back by, I think it's in excess of 30 feet from all the perimeters of the rest of the building. And that steps back to varying degrees as you move up from the lower floors. The east wing is much lower. It's very close to the height of the existing Monroe Hall. The highest point is 49 foot, 7.5, which is about 12 foot higher than the existing parapet of Monroe Hall. And that is a music performance studio. The other major programmatic component on the east wing is a dance studio right here, which is slightly lower. And you can see those in blue here. There's a 49 foot, 7.5 elevation with benchmark, and the lower dance studio elevation to the south here. You can see the relationship to Eastman Tower. Monroe Hall is obscured except for a very slight portion here by the building looking to the east. What else can I tell you about this? Looking at I know we don't have I can show you some of the floor plans which might indicate more the envelope of the building, but what's shown here as a grid is a little deceiving. It looks like it's all curtain wall. There is a large amount of curtain wall in the building. However, especially at the classrooms, the other major material is likely to be metal panels, same with the mechanical penthouse. In order to fit the president's vision, the building is meant to be highly transparent. However, not all the program will function well being completely transparent. So those classrooms will get a fair amount of opaque envelope. But otherwise, you'll be able to see activity in the building from most of the perspectives from the ground. That is the building with respect to the application in a nutshell. Like I said, I have the floor plans as part of this package. If there's any questions about the location of individual pieces of program, anyone from RIT or BME, have I touched on everything? I'm seeing nods.
Are there any questions for us?
I have a couple of. Was Chief Surinsky from the Henrietta Fire Department asked anything about this project?
This is Peter Byers from BME. Yes, he was. We had a couple of conversations with Terry Eckwell, and Terry took the matter up with Chief Surinsky also, because as Mike pointed out, the two bridges that will connect these, they have the 14-foot clearance, and that clearance was confirmed by the fire marshal with the fire chief that would be adequate for them.
Okay, and the building's located on the other side of where this building's going to go. Do they now have access to those buildings? If this building's built?
Are you talking about Eastman Hall specifically?
So the liberal arts, I can answer that because I brought that up specifically and got the answer. So the answer is yes, they would most likely where the truck would come in, if you're familiar with campus, it would come in between the science building and the engineering building, essentially across the quarter mile from that direction. So if you come in at Global Village, there's an emergency gate there that can open up. The truck would come right in through there, and they can bring their largest truck in through that way. It'll be a little bit of a pain to back out, but they said that would work for an emergency access to those. Specifically, the building that's in the middle of this big conglomeration of buildings is the liberal arts building. But Terry Eckwell assured me that in talking with Chief Straczynski that they could absolutely get to all the buildings.
Okay. And was the chief okay with this project?
I hadn't heard him say otherwise. I don't know if have you heard anything?
No, I have not.
No.
No, that's why I'm asking. If I heard, I would. Yeah.
No, like I said, according to Terry, the fire department was all good. Yeah, I had raised the same question when we got the, I'll call it the preview, when they were applying to get on the agenda. So I'd raised the exact same question.
And I know you told me, Steve, and I just didn't have it down here. Is this going to be the tallest building on campus now? Or?
Not even close.
Okay.
Tallest building is Ellingson Hall, which is 12 stories. Right next door is the George Eastman Tower. That's 7 stories. And if you saw that one drawing, the roof of this is a little bit lower. Now, because it essentially has a walkout basement, is the easiest way to think of it. If you measure the height from that walkout basement up, the height is taller than building 7, but the elevation of the top of the 2 roofs, building 1 is higher. The Ellingson, if I remember correctly, is like 130 something feet. And this one, they say 112, but it's questionable whether they needed to include that mechanical parapet or not. So in theory, it's less than that, because correct, that 112 measurement was to the top of the mechanical parapet?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So depending on how you measure it, because it's a parapet setback, it technically doesn't count as part of the height of the building because it's mechanicals. Unless there's occupied space in there, then it counts. But if it's just mechanicals, it doesn't. But either way,
that's basically
do it for 112 because it covers it.
Mhm. Correct.
And when do you expect, if it gets approved, when would you expect to have it built and open? What?
well, right now they've
Go ahead.
This is John Moore from RIT. So we would expect construction to start sometime this fall. And we will have the building open for the fall semester of 2023.
I think I'm
Any
good.
other questions?
No.
Well, I guess I've got the resolution here. Someone can motion it since I'm going to abstain. It's not a,
Yeah.
for the
Fellow town
special,
board members, I'd like to make the motion for application number 2020-013, the Rochester Institute of Technology, Jefferson Road, known as One Lom Memorial Drive, to construct a multi-story structure with a variable height roof that would have maximum height of
next to
112.
reading this one.
This one? Okay,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Because we have to address
We
secret
have to do
first.
the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay, great, sorry. All right, fellow town board, I would like to make the motion to, whereas the Rochester Institute of Technology, RIT, has made an application for approval of special use permit to allow the construction of a 112-foot building, SP 2020-13, whereas 35 feet is permitted by the code, and whereas in accordance with code, the town held a public hearing on said application, and whereas the town board has considered the application and all related materials, any public comment offered, and any input from consultants and town officials and staff. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board finds the application will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. For all those reasons set forth in the record, including but not limited to those reasons set forth in the letter associated with the application dated April 24th, 2020, and therefore issues a negative declaration pursuant to seeker. And be it further resolved that assessment of the special use permit factors weighs in favor of approval of the application for all those reasons set forth in the record, including but not limited to those reasons set forth in the letter associated with the application dated April 24th, 2020, including, for example, that the proposed building is consistent with the surrounding area, such as the George Eastman building at 118 feet, and that the building can be adequately served by existing apparatus of the fire district, given that the maximum occupied floor height is 7 feet. Be it further resolved that the application from RIT for a special use permit to allow for a height of 112 feet for the proposed building is hereby approved.
Second.
So as part of the discussion, I haven't heard Becky announce any, but just to be sure, has there been any public comment, Becky?
There has not been any public comment. No one has their hands raised.
Okay. Any other discussion?
That was my only question.
Yes. And by the way, Millie, we're sorry, but now you know the pain that Rob, Mike, and I had to go through all last year when we had to read Don
The
Young
whole thing.
resolution. Yeah. This one was good because it actually stayed to a single page.
Yeah.
So any other discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Councilmember Safranek,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolzner,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Abstain. Congratulations. You have your special use permit. My understanding is I believe that's the only approval necessary, which is again why we had to do the seeker here instead of normally it would have been done at the planning board. So, but don't take my word for it. Definitely check with building and or engineering and planning. But we look forward to seeing your shiny new building on a hill.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your time. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thanks
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Having no further action in this meeting, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Hearing no objection, meeting adjourned. So we will end this broadcast.